All right, we are here for our game recap. Here with the Mighty O'BA and the RADMAN. How you doing, RADMAN?
Great, and yourself?
Great, brother. We just finished talking to both coordinators for the Buffalo Bills and the head coach Sean McDermott, congratulating them on a great win last night, 47-10. You always go into the opposite locker room. What was the feeling with the Jaguars after being humiliated on national television?
They didn't expect it. They didn't expect to see Buffalo come out as efficient as they had. They were expecting some turnovers. Josh Allen to turn the ball over. Ronald Darby said that, hey, we had their plays covered, but then they just started coming with more and more plays, and their execution was just outstanding. He said that we were doing our best. They just didn't expect Buffalo to be that. Basically, they thought Josh Allen would turn the ball over, put the ball up for grabs, and that didn't happen in that first quarter, especially in that first half.
He's letting the game come to him better so far this season. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
go ahead. And he seems to be much. Look at his body language and look at his eyes. He doesn't seem confused. He looks very relaxed out on the football field.
Yeah, he seems to be comfortable. And also, you got to give him credit. Sean McDermott, I know we get a lot of talk from the national guys. Before the season, they were saying Sean McDermott's in trouble. Your quarterback's overrated. I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm like, we've been covering this team a long time. I went 17 years without smelling the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We've been with Sean McDermott. He's going into his 8th season, only had one losing season. So I don't see him being in trouble as far as this franchise. Do you?
Oh, no, only because he's running everything. If he was
everything.
If the Bills had a legitimate, in a sense, general manager that could do the hiring and firing, or the owner was active with the team. But Sean McDermott's running everything. He runs the general manager. How can you fire? Well, he got fired himself. That's the only way it could happen in Buffalo.
You'd have to fire the whole organization. And that's what people don't understand. He brought in this entire crew, from the scouting department to the general manager. Everybody is really under Sean McDermott. So you fire Sean McDermott, you're firing the whole crew. But I don't think that's a worry so far this season. They have really done a very good job, RADMAN, of spreading the ball around. And I think, you listen to the comments, I think it was a direct stick at players like Stephon Diggs and other players that don't work within a team concept.
And it's very interesting. I was surprised to see not only Deion Dawkins, but most of the guys speaking now that they're winning. It's almost they're saying it's almost a relief not to have that guy in the huddle or in practice. And you can imagine, I wonder what was being said during practice and things, because even Deion Dawkins out at St. John Fisher, they were saying, wow, you guys seem so quiet and so mellow. He said, well, what do you attribute that? He said, well, Stephon Diggs not here. I was like, wow. And he said that at Fisher, I was like, wow, that guy really must have really had such a strong hold on this team with his demeanor and his actions. And he carried a lot of weight with the players. And I guess they would, it just ran the edge. And you can see it didn't benefit the quarterback at all. And to answer the question that you said a few minutes ago, yes, I felt Josh Allen was very overrated, because in the sense, how can you be a top quarterback and talk about going for MVP when the last 2 years you led the league in turnovers? How can you be a top QB in any league when you lead in the league in turnovers? That usually hurt. It was amazing that Buffalo would even make the playoff, because usually when you see the Bills list, Josh Allen near the top, and you see the quarterbacks who are second, third, fourth, and fifth for leading their teams in turnovers, the quarterbacks who would led the National Football League in turnovers. None of those teams were even close to making the playoffs, those quarterbacks. He was the only one that, and you'd be like, wow, how did the Bills keep making the playoffs and this guy keep leading the league in turnovers? So now maybe that finally got to him, and he's looking a lot more comfortable, a lot more relaxed. He's getting rid of the ball. He's sliding. He slid last night. But, we don't see him slide that often. He slid maybe three or four times in one game. Game.
Yeah.
So maybe the light bulb is, as Brian Dable said, the light bulb looked like it might be finally starting to go off with this kid.
Well, he's had his struggles, and but so far this season, it seems that he's allowing the game to come to him more than trying to force plays, playing Josh ball, what we called it. It doesn't seem like he's doing that. And I thought the game, even though the last two games have been kind of blowouts, but he really showed that in the first game when they were behind. He took what Arizona gave them, and he began finding success on the field.
And also tells you too, Mighty O'BA, that last 2 years, 3, even though you made the playoffs, it tells me that he might not have been going through all of his progressions because he was looking for Stephon Diggs too much. Yeah. He may not have went through all of his progressions because now he's going through them all, and he didn't see nobody downfield. I loved it. The first couple of plays of the game, he threw the ball to Cook over to the right, who's been open for 3 years. The Cook's been here 2-3 years. He's been open all 3 years over there in the flat. But you trying to squeeze the ball into Diggs or somebody down there, or Gabe Davis or somebody down the field, and he dump it off to Cook. Cook pick up an easy first down, easy 10-yard run.
Right. And if you notice something about Diggs, and unfortunately, they're great players, him, Terrell Owens. But Terrell Owens, you saw the same thing in Philadelphia with Donovan McNabb. When you bring in these established guys and they haven't grown with the quarterback, I think hopefully Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane learned a great lesson from that. You're going to bring in a guy, you got to bring in guys that fit and understand that the quarterback is that guy. And I never saw that really from Stephon Diggs and some of the body language that he had with this franchise.
And you saw the same thing the other day with Stephon Diggs with C.J. Stroud. As they were getting their butt kicked in that game Sunday, you took a look. He was on the sideline talking to him, but Diggs was on his best behavior. But you could tell by his body language, he wanted to say, he was listening to what Stroud had to say, and then he was telling Stroud, hey, man, this is what's happening on the field. Because you could tell they had no idea what Brian Flores was throwing at him with their defensive concept. That he was lost like a ball in high weeds, and Stephon Diggs was trying to help him out with that.
Yeah, that's what. Remember, we had that conversation with AD before the season started, and I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of Diggs' ability, and maybe in the right situation you bring him in, but you keep bringing him in with younger quarterbacks. I just don't feel that's a good move. And when the Bills brought him in, I just said, no, we've already seen who he is in Minnesota. It ended the exact same way. Yeah,
and look like it's heading that way in Houston if it continues the way it was on Sunday, because they have some problems on that offensive line this year that they didn't seem to have last year. And look like teams have caught up with C.J. Stroud. They looking on film, they're starting to see what his deficiencies are.
Yeah, they've got some struggles, and I just can't see. The demeanor of Diggs is not going to help. If he acts the way he did in Minnesota and here, I can see Houston change that contract. I can see them shipping him out if they have to.
Well, it's only 1 year deal, basically. And he could easily be shipped out of Houston after this season. And Houston defense too. Remember now, the Houston Texans got rid of all 4 of their defensive linemen and brought in all 4 new ones. So it's a whole different situation there this season. So I think Houston is not as powerful as they were last season.
So what do you think? The Bills got a big-time test on another nationally televised game. That's 3 nationally televised night games in a row. I might ask if I can get out there tomorrow, ask McDermott, how does that change how you do things when you have to alter everything towards a night game and these are nationally televised games? What do you see from the Ravens being the biggest test? We all know Lamar Jackson is a great player. I wanted to ask that question of Bobby Babbage also, that Lamar doesn't get as much credit as he deserves for being an accurate passer. He's one of the more accurate passers I've seen.
Yes, he is. He's definitely one of the more accurate passers. And I think this bodes well. Win, lose, or draw. I think the Bills, as Daquan Jones was saying, as a brief interview I had with him in the locker room after Sunday's game, you got to get him before he gets downhill. You get him in the backfield. You got to get him as he gets to the line of scrimmage. You can't let him get that full steam and get into your secondary. He said you're going to have trouble with him all day long if that's the case. And the Bills, Sean McDermott, for what it's worth, his defensive schemes have always been able to not allow too many big plays by the Baltimore Ravens. And I think the Bills got a good chance of winning this game on Sunday night. And with the young players the Bills have on this team, all the new faces, the new players, man, they've really been baptized, because you figure 2 weeks later they're on Monday Night Football again in New York against the New York Jets. So, man, this first half is really baptizing them on national TV and in these spotlight games. It can only bode well for the confidence of the younger players on this roster.
Absolutely. What were your thoughts on Gabe Davis? You asked him about the lights. He said I just can't. These guys don't have to tell you the truth. But he didn't react to the ball. These guys are so trained, and you don't see him react to the ball go past him. He said he saw the ball. He didn't answer your question.
No, he found the ball. He saw the ball, but he found it. You got to find the ball out there at that stadium, because he was looking for it, and then he finally had to turn his whole body. He almost did a 360 to catch that ball down the sideline. I think one of them was out of bounds. He caught it, and it was out of bounds. So, look how long it took him. He had to do a full 360 just to make a play on the ball. So I think he wasn't really totally thinking of the question I asked. And he was just thinking that, most of the time there at the stadium, he's found the ball. But most of those times have been during the daylight. It hasn't been total darkness out there like it was last Sunday night.
A couple of Bills, I know James Cook has had his struggles, but it didn't seem like he reacted to that pass either. I just think that they really need to look at upgrading those lights for the remainder of the season. They should have been done it. Those lights emit a lot of glare, and it can hurt you in some critical situations like we saw in last year's playoff game. I did ask McDermott about Tyler Bass. He seemed to be kicking the ball better. He said it looks like they worked with him on his fundamental approach to kicking and everything else. He looked a lot better yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, and he looks a little bit more – before he kicks and lines it up, he's taking a lot more time lining the ball up than I've seen him in the past. He's looking at it, he's marching off his steps, and you can tell he got something in his head that's saying, I got to keep my head down, I got to keep my feet or something. He's telling himself something. So when he approaches the ball, it's a little different than when he was his rookie year, when he was off to the hot start. It looked like he was just walking up there and kicking the ball, right? Boom. But now he's looked like he got himself into a funk. And you got to get out of that funk by staying regimented and he hit the ball firm and the ball stayed straight. It wasn't tailing off or anything.
Right.
In his kicks on Monday night.
That last field goal looked like he could have went another 30 yards. And that's what we're used to seeing from him. But starting last year in the beginning of this season, it looks like they had to go back and work on his fundamentals, which happens to pros every once in a while.
Absolutely. It happens to the best of them. That's why you see these kickers move around. They don't stay with the same team forever. The guys end up getting in a funk, and they have to move around. So the game, I think if it comes down to a game, that's when I want to see it on a pressure cooker where it's win the game or lose the game on a kick, and see how he comes out.
Absolutely. And my last question to you, doesn't it look like McDermott is more comfortable to his body language as a head coach? He seems more comfortable on the sidelines than has been in the past.
I think since that Tyler Dunn article, he had to take a look in the mirror about himself and see that, hey man, it ain't all you, man. You got to look in the mirror. It's not all the players or the coaches. Hey, the coach, look in the mirror. Some of this is on you. Ever since that article came out on Tyler Dunn. I think he's loosened up a little bit. And also, I noticed in the game Monday night, Tyler Dunn was sitting down from us. I saw him on the chart. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But before it, they weren't allowing him a media credential previously, according to Tyler Dunn. And now it looks like they finally starting to, treat people like you can say some things negative about the Bills or, get your opinion about the Bills and don't be chased off and not be allowed to cover the team. That's not right either. So it looks like it's coming. They're loosening up and Sean McDermott is realizing, hey, man, you got to change your act too, man. Because that 13-second game, that was you. That was Sean McDermott all the way. The coaches and everybody said it. And the thing that pissed the coaches off was he never admitted that it was his fault.
Yeah, that was him, man. You know it was. Everybody knows it. So, absolutely. Hey, well, we're going to come back this weekend. Hold your predictions. We'll do that before the game on Sunday night and do a pregame show. But I want to thank everybody for being with us here on the game wrap-up. Buffalo Bills absolutely dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night, 47-10. Any last words, Radman?
Yeah, Mighty O'BA, how much better would you think Josh Allen would be by now if the Bills would have won that 13-second game? How much farther along would he have been?
I think last year especially would have been a wash. I think he'd have been a lot better because those kind of games can affect you because he played the best game of his life.
He sure did.
I mean, he was hitting Gabe Davis, and the cameras weren't even looking at Gabe Davis, and he was finding him. That was the best game I saw him play as a pro. But he was really he looks way more comfortable. Like you said, he doesn't have those scary eyes like he's not reading. Looks like he's reading the defenses. He looks very, very comfortable in the pocket. And you got to give credit to Radman. That offensive line he's not getting hit. And that's very, very important.
Absolutely. And I think, hey, those words be so heard by his players, other players in the league saying, hey, man, this guy's overrated. I think that meant something. I think Deion Dawkins said, hey, man, let's go out and show him how overrated you really are. Let's go out here and let them have it. And I think that's part of it. They're not saying it, but I think that has a lot to do with his performance so far this season as well.
All right. Hey, we're going to be back here this weekend with our pregame show. Radman will make his prediction along with the Mighty O'BA, but we'll see you this weekend. Thanks for tuning in with us on our game recap. Bills over Jaguars, 47-10.